Today, I'm producing an arena rock anthem from scratch on the base model M2 Pro Mac Mini in Logic 11. And the finished result is going to sound something like this.
I don't know what I just saw, but I know that it was real. I could see that better days were just ahead. Yeah, as the water cleansed my face, it was all so crystal clear that we all were standing out there in those rays, being blessed by a miracle.
My name is Amir, like the kind you look into, and this is Arc Overload, where I talk about music production and tech and the beautiful relationship between them. Today, I'm challenging myself to a 2-hour songwriting challenge, where I write, record, and produce a song in, you guessed it, 2 hours. To get me to the finish line, I'm using the base model M2 Pro Mac Mini, a machine I've owned for a little over a year now. That was my favorite Apple desktop until the introduction of the M4 Mac Mini earlier this year. And the only reason why I like that one more than the M2 Pro Mac Mini really is just because of the aesthetics. But the M2 Pro Mac Mini has been tried and true for me, so I know it'll be up for the task. Let's see what we can come up with. Something fun, exciting, unique, something that is worthy of being the last song on a record. To do this, I'll use Logic's default guitar effect, Fifth Dimension. This adds a note that's in the fifth interval to every note that you play, which gives it a cool, sort of cosmic vibe. I'm usually quick with coming up with melodies, but even this surprised me. I created the main riff of the song in the first minute of this challenge. Okay, I like that. All right, what is that? Let's see. We did it in like 1 minute. We got a riff. All right. As I record the melody, it's never too early to think about the chord progression and drum pattern for this main anthemic section. Apparently that includes mimicking drum sounds with my mouth. Okay, cool. I'm thinking something like really simple, powerful, a little elegant. Just go straight to G, go from D to G there. Now to add a little bit of oomph, I'm going to use the CLA guitar plugin from Waves and using their main man preset. This will ensure that I get a lot of punch for my rhythm guitars. In between takes, I'm feeling inspired and I'm coming up with vocal melodies and even a pre-chorus. And this is all within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the challenge. And the M2 Pro Mac Mini is barely breaking a sweat. So I've got it's coming together fast. Yes, I'm only recording audio at this moment, but keep in mind that I'm also screen recording in QuickTime as I do all of this, and not a single fan noise can be heard anywhere. Gotta be honest, not quite sure what that was. I continue on, and at this point, I'm writing the song as I record to save time. I come up with what I think is an awesome bridge/breakdown section on the spot. And it'll end up sounding like this. And with that, I've completed the first part of the challenge. Main melody and song structure have been completed with only recording guitars. Okay, not bad. From here, I'll come back to the studio later in the night to track the rest of the song, which will include bass, MIDI drums, vocals, and the mix and master, all within Logic Pro and the base model M2 Pro Mac Mini. I'll start with doubling the guitar melody in the more dynamic parts of the song to make sure that that melody soars over the mix. So I'm just taking like the best of my guitar takes and putting them all together right now. I'm clearly feeling this bridge as I start making drum sounds with my mouth again. Look at that face. That's the face of a dude who knows he's really enjoying what he's doing right now. All right, let's do drums. Right. So I love doing this. First off, I'm going to call up Steven Slate drums, my absolute favorite drum sound. It's super simple. I'm just going to click on classic drums and then tone deaf because my favorite band in the world is the Deftones, and I want to mimic Abe Cunningham's epic drum sounds on this track. Because this song is loud and punchy, I'm going to call up Logic's compressor plugin and add the preset Type R Tight Drum Kit, which will instantly make my drums sound huge. Now, I don't know how you record drums in your DAW, but for me, the only way to do it is to actually mimic the drums while recording. That means playing keyboard drums like I'm playing on a kit, aggression and all. No individual MIDI note drawings for me. I don't have the patience for any of that. Next up, we're going to add some low end with bass. This bass has been with me since 2013, and I have yet to change the strings. Yep, you're listening to 12-year-old strings right now. Now, before you berate me in the comments, let's get those old strings sounding young by going into the Legacy section of Logic's stock plugins, clicking on Logic, then bass guitar, and selecting the American Stack Fat option. That'll get our bass sounding like this. Let's lay down the bass track and bring this song together with some killer low end. And that's the end of our 2 hours. And yes, I didn't get to record lyrics during the 2 hours, but the instrumental of the song is complete. Except for one last thing, which honestly glues the whole instrumental together, but I'll reveal that in a little bit. By the way, M2 Pro Mac Mini is still humming along, with no fan noise in sight. Now granted, the majority of this project is audio, but we'll start putting it to the test with mixing and mastering after we record our vocals. And speaking of which, it's time to record vocals using the SM7B, the real one. Let's start off the vocal chain with some auto-tune. There's a lot of high volume singing in this track, so I just want to make sure the vocals stay where they need to be without sounding artificial. And folks, I'm not a professional singer, but I really like to sing these high anthemic rock songs. So auto-tune to the rescue. I'm in D flat major, and I'll set the retune speed to 54. From there, let's add some stock Logic EQ, where we'll cut off the low end and boost frequencies at around 800 Hz. A slight raise around 2000 and 6000 Hz will help bring out the tone that I want. Next up is Logic's compressor plugin on the Vintage Opto setting, and the mix is pointed at 2 o'clock. Not full output mix, but close. Next up, one of my favorites is RVox by Waves. I'll bring the comp all the way down to -15 and the gate to -51. Now, if I turn off RVox, here's what it sounds like now.
For the first time I feel the heart is open.
Before,
I feel something beautiful.
after. It just adds some crunch to it that I absolutely love. 2 more things before this vocal chain is perfect. First, let's bring up Bit Crusher, which will bring some crunch to the vocal.
For the first time I feel the heart is open. I feel something beautiful.
And finally, Logic's stock reverb, Space Designer. The large and bright stock setting should suffice here. Now, I was going to tell you what my secret weapon of this song is, and it's tambourine. This is live tambourine that I recorded, and you'd be amazed how much just adding a live percussive element to your song is going to add so much life to something that you recorded using a keyboard, using software instruments. If you just add a little bit of live percussive musical elements in there, it's going to make it sound so much better. So here's the song without tambourine, okay?
I don't know what I just saw, but I know that it was real.
Here's the tambourine.
Never be alone, yeah. I don't know what I just saw, but I
It's minimal, but those little accents, bing, 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 listen. It's a secret weapon, folks. I'm telling you, it's the smallest little thing, but it adds so much. Last but not least, let's talk mastering. So mixing and mastering, I used Gullfoz and Ozone, two of my favorite plugins when it comes to mixing and mastering. Gullfoz is such an amazing plugin that it does a lot of the work for you when it comes to overall EQ or just EQing a specific track. In this case, I'm putting it on my master track, my master stereo track right here, where I've got it boosting my brightness by a whopping 64%. My recovery is 48%, and then 18% on the tame and 15% on the bias. Let me just show you what this sounds like without it.
Out there in those rays, being blessed by a miracle.
It is a huge difference. It adds so much punch. And then as far as my mastering plugin goes, well, I usually do use Lander's mastering plugin, and I'll put a code down below where you can get 20% off of your purchase of Lander's Mastering Pro plugin and their other services. If you want, I'll put that in the description box down below. But in this case, I'm using Ozone. And for Ozone, one of the things that I love that's not automatically turned on when you use their Master Assistant is that the imager doesn't turn on automatically. It's turned off. I love having this imager on and using it usually to brighten up and widen out the sound, right? So in this case, for example, this is what it would sound like without this imaging turned on.
All it took was love.
Okay, so listen to it.
And I knew that we'd be okay.
And now check it out.
Gotta push on.
It's the smallest thing, folks, but this is what makes your mixes go from sounding okay to sounding even better to sounding great, are these little tweaks. During the mix and master, the M2 Pro Mac Mini gives me 0 issues. I'm at 256 IO buffer size, and the machine keeps humming along. I truly find it fascinating that I'm able to record songs like this arena rock anthem on a computer that cost me just under $1,300. With just 16 gigs of RAM and only 512 gigabytes of solid state drive, you'd think I'd eventually hit some sort of limitation, but this entire process could not have been smoother. Now, it's the moment of truth as I bounce this track out, which I'm calling Vision. It's available now on Spotify, Apple Music, and your favorite music streaming platform of choice. Let's see how this track, made in Logic Pro 11 and on the base model of the M2 Pro Mac Mini, turned out.
The mind is open. I feel something beautiful. Under paths that's taken a world away. As I hold you, I know from now to forever, I'll no longer be alone. No more thoughts I hate, just a voice that's singing. Whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa. Yeah, I'll no longer be alone. Yeah, I don't know what I just saw, but I know that it was real. I could see that brighter days were just ahead. Yeah, as the water cleansed my face, it was all so crystal clear that we all were standing out there in those rays, being blessed by a miracle. All it took was love and a heavenly vision, and I knew that we'd be okay. Gotta push on through, gotta keep on singing. Whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh. Yeah, I knew that we'd be okay. Yeah, I don't know what I just saw, but I know that it was real. I could see that brighter days were just ahead. Yeah, as the water cleansed my face, it was all so crystal clear that we all didn't know it was real. I could see that brighter days were just ahead. Yeah, as the water cleansed my face, it was all so crystal clear that we all were standing out there in His grace, being blessed by a miracle. Being blessed by a miracle. Blessed by a miracle.
This song initially was a 2-hour challenge that turned into such a labor of love because the subject matter of the song is such an important one for me. It was about the time that I got my first actual vision, like in real life. Closed my eyes and I saw something as real as day. Where I say in the chorus, I don't know what I just saw, but I know that it was real. It's a very, very real thing that I'm singing about. This song means the absolute world to me. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching this progress and this journey of me making this song Vision. My name is Amir, like the kind you look into. I'll see you next time.